If you keep chickens, I expect you've seen them doing this, preening. There are several reasons she does this. Preening cleans her feathers and straightens them, and zips the barbules of her feathers together again so they're smooth. By the way, feathers are amazing. I have a whole video about how ingenious feathers are. Preening also plays an important role in the control of external parasites. She's using her beak to seek out and kill insects from her skin and feathers, especially any lice. You've probably also seen your chickens doing this, dust bathing. As weird as it might sound, dust bathing is another way that chickens keep their feathers clean and in good condition. I have a video about dust bathing too. But have you seen chickens doing this? Although they're lying on the ground, they're not dust bathing or even moving much. This position, lying in the sun with one wing stretched out, is called sunning. If you see them doing this on a cold but sunny day, you might think they're just sunbathing, soaking up the warmth of the sun. And maybe on a cool day they might be doing that, although usually a cold chicken huddles with her wings close to her body. But sometimes chickens will do this on a scorching hot summer's day. Now, we know from my video about heat stress in chickens, it's very important to provide shade in summer so your chickens don't overheat and suffer from heat stress. So why on earth would they lie out in the full sun, stretched out, catching the full blast of the sun's rays, getting hotter and hotter on a hot day? If you look closely, you might even notice that she has her beak open, panting, a sure sign that she's feeling too hot. So why is she lying in the hot sun? Strangely enough, it's yet another way that chickens keep their feathers free of external parasites. Lots of birds do this, not just chickens. This behaviour was first reported by the ornithologist John James Audubon in 1831. But it's only recently that scientists have confirmed that one reason birds sun themselves is to control ectoparasites, like feather lice. There are several kinds of lice that can infest chickens, but by far the most common is the chicken body louse, Entices stramineus. They're about 3 to 3.5 millimetres long, that's about 1/8 of an inch, and live at the base of her feathers, burrowing into the feather follicle and feeding on dead skin, feather protein, and also on blood by chewing on her pin feathers. The main weapon that chickens use to control lice numbers is her beak. The top half of a chicken's beak is called the maxillary beak, and the bottom half is called the mandibular beak. A chicken typically has a slightly longer maxillary beak that curves over and extends just a little over her mandibular beak. Different birds have different shaped beaks for all kinds of other reasons, but a chicken's beak shape is pretty close to perfect for crushing insects like lice by grinding her lower jaw forward. By the way, if you have some rescued chickens, they might have had part of their top maxillary beak amputated. This so-called beak trimming or beak tipping is still common practice in the commercial poultry industry of some countries as a way to reduce injuries from feather pecking in crowded conditions. Chickens with trimmed beaks can't crush lice as effectively, so if you have chickens with trimmed beaks, do check them frequently for lice infestations. So back to this practice of sunning. How does that help control lice? There are 3 possible ways. One is that as the insects feel the warmth of the sun, they're stimulated to move around more and climb out of the feather follicles and up the feather shafts. From there, the chicken can more easily reach the insect to catch and crush it in her beak. Another way is that the insects might be killed by exposure to ultraviolet radiation. It is well established that some insects are affected by ultraviolet light and even deliberately hide themselves in the shade to avoid it. How much the insects are affected depends on the insect. I haven't found any studies that directly investigate the impact of ultraviolet light on the chicken body louse, but personally I doubt that this is a very effective mechanism because it would need the ultraviolet light to directly shine on the insect, and also because the most damaging type of ultraviolet light is UVC. But there's very little natural UVC radiation that reaches from the sun to the Earth's surface. Most of the ultraviolet light that reaches us is the less damaging UVA. I think the most likely mechanism is that the insects are directly affected by high temperatures. This idea is supported by experimental research on seabirds with the rather cute name of black noddies. The scientists made some artificial wings covered with real black noddy feathers, and then put feather lice on the wings. If the lice-infested wings were kept in the shade, where the temperature was below 30 degrees centigrade, that's 85 degrees Fahrenheit, the lice survived. But if the lice-infested wings were exposed to sunlight, after only 10 minutes in the direct Australian sun, the temperature of the black feathers was over 60 degrees Celsius. That's 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and the lice were killed by the heat. Additional support for this idea comes from earlier research on these gorgeous wee birds called violet-green swallows. Scientists in Virginia found that swallows with lice sunned themselves on the hot roof of their laboratory much more than birds whose lice had been treated with a pesticide, suggesting that the birds are definitely using this sunning activity when they're feeling annoyed by lice in amongst their feathers. Once again, there's no direct evidence that when chickens are sunning themselves, they're trying to kill their lice. I haven't been able to test that out myself because I don't see my chickens sunning themselves very often. It's taken me years to collect the videos I've shown you of my chickens sunning themselves. And whenever I check my chickens, I've never seen a louse or lice eggs on their feathers. So if you're a budding ornithologist who keeps chickens, maybe you can do some experiments on your own flock and see where the chickens with lice sun themselves more often than chickens who are not being irritated by feather lice. If you do so, please let me know. I'd love to hear about the results of your investigations. And for now, thanks for watching. Bye for now. See you next time.